Recess was the best time for us during school. Um, to us, it felt like infinity. We were out there for a millennia just playing endless games kickball, tag, this game we made up called War. To this day, I don't know the rules to it. It's just a fun game to play. However, we always avoided a very specific spot in the playground. Next to our school, there was a small white shack. And for some reason, for many years, all the kids avoided it. And when it came to the darker, colder days, we all tried to ignore it. But we couldn't ignore
The stories of the woman in the white dress.
I never personally saw her, and then, when I was in the 5th grade, I thought I just had bad luck, you know? I'm the one kid that doesn't see the scary ghost. I'm the one kid without the awesome, cool story to tell over the weekend. But now that I'm older, I consider myself lucky because one of my friends growing up, who we'll call Michael for this story, claims to have seen her. And at first, nobody believed him until we just saw something in his eyes. Something that we couldn't explain. And now that I'm older, what we saw in his eyes was fear. The first part of the story, I actually got to witness. I know it was a Friday for sure because that was a weekend that I was looking forward to. Power Rangers, renting movies at the local video store. I think we were at the point where our next rental was free, and to me that was such a big deal because I love movies. So we took the same path we always do, out of the back of the school, and we walk across this trail, this very specific trail. To this day, I can walk it with my eyes closed. I know exactly where it belongs. I know how it curves. I know it lets out in this parking lot covered in gravel that the city just forgot to take care of. But right at the very center, or rather the highest peak of that trail, maybe about 40 feet away, resting quietly watching us, was the white shack. And we always dared ourselves, or you dare your friend, go look in there, come on, how tough are you, go look in there, oh, you're a chicken. Well, that day Michael wasn't a chicken. But I also don't think he was very smart, because he walked into the white shack, and behind him his sister, who we'll call Amelia, pushed the door open and looked in. Now the door couldn't be open all the way because a chain held it shut for the most part. Afterwards, Michael walked out and we all just gathered around him. Obviously, we didn't go to him, we waited for him to come to us, and we gathered around and we asked him, "What did you see?" And Michael said in a very quiet voice, "There was a lady sleeping on a bed." And we looked at each other like, "A bed? Really? In there?" And he goes, "No, like the mattress was on the floor and she was sleeping on it." And we found that very odd. So we look at Amelia and Amelia says, "The woman was looking at me." A part of us knew we should have paid more attention to what she said, but another part of us was like, let's leave it be for now, because really, at this point, we all somehow knew that we were out of our depth. So we just carried on with our day, and in all honesty, that moment stayed in the back of our minds and we couldn't shake it. Along the way home, there was this really, really big bakery. It was one of my favorite places as a kid. And the cool thing about this bakery was the fact that at the storefront, obviously, once you go in, you can buy all sorts of baked goods. That's like the greatest thing ever. And then right behind that, in a separate room, they're baking them. And it's so delicious and it smells so good. Just beyond that, they have what I would call their distribution center, where they would pack up trucks and ship items out across the city or wherever they go. I never knew exactly how far they delivered. I had some friends whose dads worked there, but beyond that, never really knew. So we go in there, and this was the 90s, so between all of us, we were able to afford about 5-6 cupcakes, and it was awesome because we paid with a spare change that we found along the way. As we're leaving, Michael's not doing so well. He's running around the store and he tells us, I can't find Amelia. And we're confused. We're like, what do you mean you can't find Amelia? And he says, I just can't find her. I don't know where she went. So we're looking around. We're going all over the store. I stick my head into the bakery. If I'm being honest with you, I did it more because I wanted to see how they bake this stuff rather than to see if she was in there. And then we're running to the distribution area of the bakery, and we're stopped by this, what at the time I thought was a adult guy, an adult man. Turns out he's just like a 17-year-old high school kid with a job. And he's like, hey, where you guys going? You can't go in there. And we explain to him what's going on. He goes, all right, cool. So we start walking to the back of this distribution center, and it was not as nice or as warm as the bakery was. That distribution center was cold, empty, oddly. Even though it was full of boxes that were unwrapped, untaped, you could see inside of them all the delicious sweets that were going to be sent out. There was just something wrong and missing about that place that I doubt it was there before. I'm pretty sure it was just at that moment where something that wasn't supposed to be there was there. So as we're walking around, we finally hear a small little rustle, like a little girl running around. And Michael's excited. That's my Amelia. We gotta go get her. And as we're walking, we all stop and look at each other. The high schooler that was with us, he looks down at Michael and he goes, is Amelia your grandma? And he goes, no. Michael says, that's my little sister. And the high schooler says, why does she sound like that? And we all froze because we all heard the same thing, an older voice talking to a little girl, but we couldn't quite make out what they were saying. Finally, we get to the furthest corner of the factory, next to an emergency exit. We finally hear Amelia's voice, and she's talking to somebody. She's saying something, we're not too sure what it is. And the funniest thing happens. The high school guy pushes all forward, and well, there we all go look, and luckily, it was only Amelia. And we say to Amelia, hey, what gives? Why are you back here? She goes, oh, the woman in white came for me. She says, play with me. Our walk home for the most part is uneventful, at least for me and the other people that were with me. However, Michael, he kept looking back. He would just stop and his gaze would vanish off into the wind, I guess. He just kept looking back, and we're like, yeah, yo, what's up, Michael? Like, what's going on? He goes, I don't know, man. I think somebody's following me. And we look at him, we go, Michael, there's nobody back there. Who could possibly be following you? And he goes, I don't know. I get that feeling. And look at Amelia. As we're riding our bikes back home, yeah, we would notice that every now and then Amelia would turn back and she'd just wave at someone. But there was no one there walking behind us. And this is where my part of the events end. Stay tuned for part 2 to see exactly what happens to Michael.